Hello, everyone. Let's kick off today's session with the energy and clarity. We are starting a very high yield and clinically integrated lecture series on vitamins, one of the most exam-related and clinically applicable domains in biochemistry. By the end of this session, you should not only remember but understand and apply these concepts in clinical scenarios. What are vitamins? Vitamins are organic micronutrients required in very small quantities, in milligrams or even micrograms. Despite such small requirements, their role is absolutely critical for normal biological functions. And most vitamins cannot be synthesized by the body, so they must be obtained from diets. This makes them very essential nutrients. So, how you define vitamins? Let's formalize it in a biochemical way. Vitamins are organic compounds required in small quantities for biological processes and generally must be supplied through diet. Clinically, deficiency leads to specific metabolic dysfunction, which often presents them with characteristic syndromes. And what about the classification of vitamins? Vitamins are broadly classified into water-soluble vitamins, that includes vitamin B complex and the vitamin C. And the second category is the fat-soluble vitamins that include vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. This classification is not just academic. It determines absorption, storage, and toxicity potential. The term vitamin literally means vital for life. These are micronutrients, but do not underestimate them. Without them, metabolism collapses. So, what about the general characteristics of vitamins? They are required in very small amounts, essential for daily physiological functioning, and act as a coenzyme or enzyme cofactors. Think of them as biological enablers. They don't provide energy, but make energy production possible. So, what about the introduction to B complex vitamins among the water soluble vitamins? Initially thought to be one vitamin, but actually a group of multiple vitamins. They primarily act as coenzymes in metabolic pathways, especially those involved in ATP production. Without B vitamins, energy metabolism becomes inefficient. What about the members of vitamin B complex? This is very important to remember. That includes vitamin B1, that is thiamine, vitamin B2, the riboflavin, vitamin B3, the niacin, and the others, the vitamin B5, pantothenic acid, vitamin B6, pyridoxine or pyridoxamine, vitamin B7, that is biotin, vitamin B9, that you can name as folic acid, and vitamin B complex or the vitamin B12, that is cyanocobalamin. And this session will focus on the vitamin B1, B2, and B3. And we will discuss the rest of the vitamins like the B5, B6, B7 in part 2, and the third and final part of the water-soluble vitamin series that will include the vitamin B9 and B12 along with the non-B complex, that is vitamin C. So, what about the sources of B complex vitamins? As you can see on your screens, the plant sources, those are rich with B complex vitamins, are cereals, the grains, and animal sources, liver, milk, egg, beef, and the chicken. What about the key features of the water-soluble vitamins? As we discussed earlier, they act mostly as coenzymes, not stored significantly, required regular intake in diet, and excess excreted in urine. So once they are excreted or the excess levels excreted in the urine, so they're least likely chances to have toxicity risk along with them. What is the difference between the water-soluble and fat-soluble vitamins? Let's talk about the water-soluble vitamins first. There is no storage whatsoever, but they can be stored in minute quantities. They are easily excreted and they are heat labile. What about the fat-soluble vitamins? They get stored in the body. There is highly likely chances to have the risk of toxicity, and they are more stable at room temperatures or high temperatures, or even with the heat and light. So toxicity is more common with fat-soluble vitamins. So they got the tendency to get stored in the body. So let's begin with the vitamin B1. Thiamine, the vitamin B1, was the very first vitamin discovered. Its major role in the energy metabolism, especially carbohydrate metabolism. And the active form of vitamin B1 or the thiamine is the TPP, that is thiamine pyrophosphate, that function as a coenzyme in decarboxylation reactions, critical in pathways like pyruvate to acetyl CoA formation and the tricarboxylic acid cycle. What about the properties of thiamine? As we discussed earlier, they are water soluble, destroyed by the heat and alkali, and lost during food processing. What about the sources of thiamine? That includes meat, liver, whole grain, milk, eggs, and the polished rice diets. Polished rice diets, major risk of deficiency is there. So we need to avoid the polished rice diets in our, that can act as a major trigger factor for the deficiency of vitamin B1. What about the functions of vitamin B1, the thiamine? Energy release from the carbohydrates, nervous system functions, appetite regulation. What about the deficiency? Deficiency leads to beriberi. And beriberi can be of two types, wet beriberi and dry beriberi. The dry beriberi, one manifests with the neurological symptoms. And in wet beriberi, the cardiovascular symptoms are pronounced. The symptoms may include the fatigue, irritability, and depression. And the sweet deficiency that causes the Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome that can be seen in chronic alcoholics. And the symptoms or the features may include the confusion, ataxia, memory loss. So let's move on to vitamin B2, riboflavin. Riboflavin is a part of flavoproteins and essential for redox reactions. What about the sources of riboflavin? That include milk, eggs, green vegetables, and liver. As you can see on your screens, the sources of vitamin B2. Vitamin B2 act as a coenzyme, and that got the different forms like the FMN, the FAD. These are the key players in glycolysis and TC cycle, along with electron transport chain. What about the functions of riboflavin? That includes the metabolism they are included in, or they are involved in metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, the tissue repair, skin and eye health. And what about the deficiency features related to vitamin B2? That is chiliosis. That is that includes the fissure at the corners of the mouth, and the glossitis, the tongue appearing smooth but purplish in this case, and the dermatitis. What about the other properties related to vitamin B2? They're heat labile or heat stable. They're light sensitive. That's why milk is stored in opaque containers. And the recommended daily allowance for the vitamin B2 is 2 to 3 milligrams per day. Let's move on to vitamin B3. Niacin. The niacin exists in nicotinic acid or nicotinamide form. They're also synthesized from the tryptophan, but inefficiently. What about the sources of vitamin B3? That includes meat, fish, poultry, whole grains, and the protein-rich foods. Niacin. The coenzyme formulas niacin are NAD and NADP. These are central to redox reaction in metabolism. Think as in such a way, electron transport is equal to life. What about the functions of niacin? They are involved in energy metabolism, electron transport chain, and fatty acid synthesis via NADPH. So, niacin act as a core metabolic regulator. What about the deficiency of vitamin B3? Vitamin B3 deficiency leads to pellagra. That linked with the classic 3Ds, the dermatitis, diarrhea, and dementia. And if that isn't treated well or that remains untreated, that leads to death. What about the clinical features of pellagra? Sunlight exposed rash, gastrointestinal disturbances, neuropsychiatric symptoms that are the hallmark features of the pellagra. What about the clinical uses of niacin? Niacin is widely used in the treatment of hyperlipidemias in order to decreases the VLDL levels and LDL, and reduces the triglyceride levels as well. So mechanism behind that inhibits the lipolysis, and that reduces the fatty acid supplies to the liver. What about the toxicity related to niacin or B3? The important features may include the flushing, liver damage, glucose intolerance. So excellent work done by you guys today. We have built a strong biochemical foundation covering vitamins basic or the basic details of the vitamins, especially the B complex vitamins, the B1, the thiamine, B2, riboflavin, B3, the niacin. In next session, In part 2, we will cover vitamin B5, B6, and vitamin B7. And then we'll move on to the part 3 that will include vitamin B9, vitamin B12, and vitamin C. So this is a more structured approach, ensures clarity, retention, and clinical application of the vitamins. If you found this lecture valuable, make sure to like this video, share it with your colleagues, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you once again.